Alright, very last screencast of the unit, and what you've hopefully learned in these first 5 screencasts will basically comprise the first unit exam. This screencast is called the 4 fundamental questions. Dun, dun, dun. Alright, so the 4 fundamental questions that every economic system has to answer, whether it's traditional, market, command, or whatever, are these. First off, what are we going to produce? Of the billions of things we could possibly produce, what should we make? Second question, how are we going to make it? Third question, who's going to get the stuff once we do make it? And fourth, can the system accommodate change? We're going to address these questions one by one, focusing primarily on how market systems answer these questions, because that's the kind of system that we have. Let's start off with the first question, what will be produced? Now, in a command system, the government decides. In a traditional system, it's whatever they produced 100 years ago. In a market system, the answer is kind of simple. Whatever makes an economic profit. Whatever makes a profit sticks around, and things that don't make profits don't stick around. So we've got to talk a little bit more about what it means to make an economic profit. We're going to define economic profit as being equal to total revenue, which we'll abbreviate as TR, minus total cost, which we'll abbreviate as TC. Think of total revenue as all of the money coming into your cash register if you're a business, if you sell whatever, plants. All of the money that comes into your cash register when you sell those plants, that's your total revenue. Think of total costs as all of the costs involved in making those plants. Now, total revenue in turn can be defined as being equal to price P times quantity Q. So I'll give you a simple example. Let's say I sell t-shirts. I sell 9 shirts, that's my quantity, and I sell them for $10 each, that's my price. If that's the case, I'm going to be making 90 bucks coming into my cash register. Let's say that when I look at the cost of the cotton and the workers and whatever else it takes me to make these t-shirts, it comes to $40. All right, so total revenue is going to be $90. 9 shirts times $10 each. My total costs in this example are $40, so if I want to figure out my economic profit, it would be equal to $50. $90 coming in, $40 going out, $50 profit. So far, so good. But now we have to distinguish between what economists call economic profit and what they call normal profit. And normal profit is a very confusing concept because it's very inappropriately termed. But we're going to take this idea and try to apply it into the example that I just used. This time we're going to think about opportunity cost. So again, assume that instead of making shirts, this time assume that you could have been working as a teacher. And in the time that it took you to make the shirts, you could have made $30 as a teacher. Up to this point, we've called that an opportunity cost. That's what normal profit is. Whatever else you could be doing with your time, money, etc. if you're a business owner, if you weren't working in that business. And we treat that as a cost, because that $30 that you could have been earning as a teacher, you're not earning because you're in this t-shirt business. So our example was that I sell 9 shirts for $10 each, and it cost me $40 to make the shirts. Again, I had total revenue of $90. I had an economic profit of what seemed like $50. But now we have to factor in normal profit. I'm giving up being a teacher to make these shirts. So I have to add in that extra cost, that thing I'm missing out on by making t-shirts, which is the fact that I'm not teaching and making money. So my true economic profit would actually only be $20. The $50 I thought I made minus that extra cost, that opportunity cost, that $30 I'm giving up because I'm not working as a teacher. So normal profit is confusing because it seems like a good thing. There's the word profit in it, but it's actually treated as a cost. It's a specific type of opportunity cost. So let me give you another example. Let's say you sell lemonade. Your total revenue is $1,000. Your total costs are $300. What if I told you that if you weren't selling lemonade, you'd be the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, you know who that is, playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and let's say you get paid $10 million to play, to play that position. So if you weren't selling lemonade, you'd be making $10 million. Now, before I told you that, things looked pretty good. It looked like you were making a profit of $700, right? Who doesn't want to make $700? But once you factor in your normal profit, you're actually missing out on quite a bit of money. In fact, you're making a huge loss by running this lemonade stand. That's why it's important to calculate in normal profit. Your true economic profit here would be $700 minus $10 million, which is a big negative number, right? All right, let me drive it home with one more example. What would it mean if you ran a business, any business, and I told you that you made a true economic profit of even just $1 or even just 1 penny? Let's say that we've factored in your normal profit, and even after that, you're still making an economic profit of $1. Here's the question: should you be happy with that or not? I would say that if you're making a true economic profit of $1, once normal profits are factored in, you should be really, really happy. Because what that means is that you're making $1 more than anything else you could reasonably be doing in the world. So when you see an economic profit of even 1 penny, I want you to think, that's good. That business is making a penny more than anything else that business could be doing, given all of its other opportunities. All right, so the question was, what will be produced? The answer: whatever makes an economic profit, a true economic profit with normal profits factored in. Now this has ethical implications, because what's going to get produced isn't necessarily the thing that's best for society. It's simply the thing that's making the most profit. So if chemical weapons or nuclear bombs make the most profit, we're going to make those things when we might actually rather have baby food or video games. Now this leads to why some industries expand and some industries decline. There's a reason there's not a horse and bug industry anymore. It wouldn't be profitable. People simply don't want it. So businesses that make, or industries that make economic profits tend to expand. Other people say to themselves, hey, they're making even $1 of economic profit. They're doing $1 better than anything else in the world they could possibly be doing. I want to do that too. I'm going to get into that business. If you're making economic losses, if you could be doing something else that would be better for you, you tend to get out of those businesses, and those businesses tend to decline. Now, in the end, what makes an economic profit is determined by consumers. We vote, but not through elections or in electoral booths. We vote with our dollars. Every time you walk into a store, you are voting with your dollars. Every time you pass by a shirt that you don't buy, you are voting no on that shirt. And every time you take a shirt and bring it up to the register, you are voting yes. Okay, the second question is, how will the goods and services be produced? Again, traditional systems would say however we did it last year. Command systems would say whatever the government says we should do. In a market system, it's done in the least cost way, given all the things that go into costs. Things like resource prices, the price of land, labor, capital, resource productivity, how awesome those resources are, things like technology. In other words, in market systems, we are, or tend to be, productively efficient. Because if you're not productively efficient, if you're producing computers and it's costing you $10 million to produce each one, you're not going to be around very long. You're not going to make economic profits, and you're going to wind up going away. It's one of the nice things about market systems. Command systems and traditional systems don't have to be productively efficient. Third question: who gets the goods and services once they're produced? Traditional system would say whoever got it last year. In a command system, or an ideal maybe communist system, they actually have a kind of nice answer to this. They say, well, whoever needs it the most. If we're going to make a loaf of bread, let's give it to the person that's hungriest, or maybe we'll just share the bread equally. Not so in a market system. In a market system, the person that gets the goods and services is the person that's able and willing to pay for it. Remember the rationing function of prices. It's prices and our ability to pay them that determines which goods and services we get. So there are income constraints on how we answer this question, and again, ethical considerations. I kind of like the communist answer to this question. If we make a loaf of bread, I'd like the idea that we're going to give it to the hungriest person. Not necessarily so in a market system. We have lots of people that are starving, and we have lots of people that throw out food on a daily basis because they simply bought it and didn't want to eat it and didn't consume it in time. Last question: can the system accommodate change? Now, the nice thing about a market system is that prices act as signals. They tell producers what to produce. If we like something a lot and we're willing to pay a large price for it, producers tend to produce more of it. If we don't like something and we stop buying it, prices tend to go down, and that acts as a signal to producers that maybe we don't want this good or service quite so much. The system basically enforces itself. It's one of the big drawbacks of a command system. Think of how many millions of goods and services there are, and imagine a government bureaucracy trying to decide what would be the best combination of goods and services. We don't need any kind of government bureaucracy because we have a market system with prices that act as signals that tell us what it is that we should change. We have this idea of creative destruction in a market system, meaning that inefficient things tend to go away. If you're an inefficient producer or an inefficient industry, or if you're producing something that people don't want, we stop buying that good and you get destroyed. Now that's a good thing. It's sad for you, but it's good for society, because all the resources you were using to inefficiently produce or to produce the wrong things can now be used to actually produce things that society wants. This idea that there are these forces around that are just magically making things better without anyone on top deciding has a name. It's called the invisible hand. It was coined by a guy named Adam Smith that you'll be hearing a lot more about, probably the father of modern economics. And it's this idea that by trying to maximize our own utility, by giving us the power to make the choices of how we use our resources, our dollars, our time, we're going to get to these goals: efficiency, allocative efficiency, productive efficiency, as a society that would be impossible to get to if a bunch of people were sitting around trying to make these same decisions for us. We'll see a lot more examples of the invisible hand as we go through the course. All right, that's going to wrap up the first unit. I'll see you next unit.
All right, so here is the chicken you'll be enjoying tonight.
You have this information. This is fantastic.
Absolutely. His name was Colin. Here are his papers, okay?
That's great.
He looks like a happy little guy who runs around.